What up, guys? Today we are trying out the Fencing Thunderhammer. Now, look at that speed. Like, seriously, I don't think I've seen a Thunderhammer look this silly ever. This is seriously a very interesting weapon. As soon as I heard that, you know, fencing was getting a speed buff, I kind of thought to myself, wow, I wonder what the Thunderhammer can do with that. So, yes, we do have diligence. We do have a fair amount of, you know, ground pound support. Smiting Angel recently has been buffed. Strategic Strike's very good for that. Knowledge of the enemy is also pretty good, you know, just to make sure that your ground pounds are doing good damage. And then, yeah, we have Fortitude. We do have some pretty good prestige perks. I do have Hyper Armor, by the way, on gun strikes, or I guess on perfect parries I get a little bit of hyper armor. So we're definitely aiming to land some good parries with the Fencing Thunderhammer here. Well, here's also, I think, the largest appeal for running the Fencing Thunderhammer at the moment is the fact that you can take off Duelist from the Assault class's prestige perk selections. Like, you really don't need Duelist if you have a Fencing Thunderhammer. And look how fast, honestly, look how fast that charge attack ended up being. It legitimately takes like a second to just go into double slams. This is probably one of the most interesting buffs I could have seen for the Thunderhammer is, hey, you know what, the Fencing Thunderhammer, it's gonna be a bit faster. It's still gonna hit pretty hard, especially considering slams. Double slams right there, by the way. So, yep, we were able to just basically take out that Lictor incredibly fast, which is nice. This Bivor ends up going Sentry mode, so, you know, definitely needed to aggro it. But, yeah, I mean, fencing weapons, they do what they're supposed to do. They are 100% supposed to be really good parrying weapons, but also considering the Thunderhammer has a pretty hard hit. The fact that you can just swing it like this, like, look at that. Like, that is such a funny looking weapon. Honestly though, I think this is like the borderline. Like, if this weapon was any more faster, it would look very ridiculous. I think this is basically the best we are going to get when it comes to a quicker Thunderhammer. I think this is honestly a very good weapon. The light swings are good because it's gonna hit pretty hard. At least going against, you know, Gaunts, it was able to clear out rooms pretty easily. So yeah, I was also leveling this Assault class, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is on console, so I was still leveling the Assault class here. I did recently get this, you know, this Assault, I've recently got it to Prestige 4, level 25. Oh, also, by the way, I'm not too sure if you guys noticed this, but Extremists can spawn during this part of Decapitation. Right there, I'm like, wait, I definitely heard an Extremist spawn. And then, yep, we got a Bivor, we got a Zone Throat here. Things are definitely a lot more interesting on Decapitation right now. I'm not too sure if this is intended or if it's a bug, but regardless, I like it. I like it. This is going to be pretty cool. But yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how the Thunderhammer hierarchy changes, if at all, considering this new weapon, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you can consider blocking Thunderhammer hits very hard. Balanced Thunderhammer, I can honestly see as a very good weapon. But the Fencing Thunderhammer has always been one of those weapons I wish were just a tad bit better, because if I'm using a balanced weapon, I do normally like to use Duelist as well, but the fact that I was able to clear up a perk from, you know, from my prestige perks means that I could potentially run some damage resistance, some hyper armor, something like that. But yeah, so right here, I'm kind of just, I definitely just whiffed that ground attack. I thought Gaunts were gonna come up that way, but yeah, boom, big slams right here. So even if the fencing damage isn't something that you like, you have to consider the Thunderhammer is a great charged attack weapon, and the fact that the Fencing Thunderhammer can charge your attacks faster means that you're going to get some pretty good DPS out of this weapon. So if you're good with the Thunderhammer, I definitely suggest trying out the Fencing Thunderhammer. You can see right there, I was able to stun that Major pretty fast. Then, not to mention, the Thunderhammer kind of can be a bit slow against Gaunts. Well, the Fencing Thunderhammer can 100% just cleave through all waves of Gaunts. It's so good. Yeah, you can just sit there with the light swings, and then whenever you want, you can go for the parry. The light swings can also do a pretty good job at staggering, which is nice. Boom, big parry, big gun strike, and yet, just go for the light swings. You can obviously go for some charge attacks as well, but here I was just going for some light swings to just show off the swing speed on this, and then, yep, just followed up with the charge attack. Almost like, that's pretty insane, that you can go for some light swings and then follow up with the charge attack seamlessly. It's very, very fast to just go from one part of the combo to the next one. The Fencing Thunderhammer is definitely... It's probably one of my favorite changes from the patch so far, just considering the fact that this weapon, it was painfully slow against gaunts, and now you're in a position to just keep swinging, and then you can basically clear out waves. It's pretty interesting. In ranged mages, if you saw, were able to tank the shots and not stagger. However, since you're kind of just throwing the fist at everybody, you're definitely in a pretty good position to get a parry. So basically, just continue swinging, and then whenever you need to, you can parry at a moment's notice because you're using a Fencing Thunderhammer, so you don't really have to worry about windows or anything like that. But yeah, dude, honestly, and oh yeah, the slams. The slams, I think, were powerful. I don't think I was getting one-shots with these because I really wasn't using Diligence too much. I kind of was just, you know, I really wanted to see just the regular light swings. Kind of, I was very happy with. Yeah. Honestly, even here, I was like, yeah, you know what? Let me go with the Fencing Thunderhammer moveset instead of going for a slam there. Even though I should have went for the slam there. There was a pack of majors. It would have felt good to get a slam. But still, yeah, I wanted to test this weapon's moveset. And I think the Fencing Thunderhammer is probably the best Thunderhammer to actually swing. I'm sure the Balanced Thunderhammer is pretty good as well. I imagine the Balanced Thunderhammer is actually really good. But for right now, I did not want to use Duelist. I just wanted to jump in with Fencing to see how it went. I think this is on lethal, by the way, so that's why we don't see the other Terminus enemy. The reason it's on lethal, I think, is because I'm not fully leveled. But this is going to be the last, like, not absolute operation run I will be running for a long time, I think. Considering, I mean, otherwise I will be leveling other classes on other platforms, but for now, I do have a fair amount of Prestige 4 characters on console and on PC, and we have a lot to test out to see if it's going to work in Absolute. I think, obviously, the slams were buffed, so the Thunderhammer is going to be perfectly fine, especially considering the fact that you can build around gun strikes with the Assault class, and that's a great way to build around it. So as long as you can get some good parries and some good gun strikes, it's definitely going to work in Absolute 2.0. Now, regardless, this Hive Tyrant, we really take it down this Hive Tyrant really fast. I just wanted to swing off. I just really wanted to swing off with the Thunderhammer here. But yeah, you can see that swing speed and how it affects us in melting this Hive Tyrant. For a weapon that isn't very, you know, the Fencing Thunderhammer has never been very popular. So for a weapon that hasn't really been used that much, also, yeah, look at those spore mines. That's crazy. For a weapon that really hasn't been used that much, I think this is a perfect buff for it, 100%. Yeah, we're gonna see some big slams. Yeah, that's a pretty good slam. I'm also kind of questioning if I'm in absolute or lethal here, which is kind of weird, but no, I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure we are on lethal. However, we could be on absolute. I don't know. I really don't think we were, though. Anyway. Anyway, the fencing ground slams aren't really going to be as powerful as the blocking ones or the balanced ones. That is a given. But still, the actual swinging of this weapon, especially for the charge attacks, I think is a very viable way to use the Fencing Thunderhammer. If you build into charge attacks and, you know, obviously you get the double slams, this weapon is going to feel very, very good. Here's a slam to interrupt the AoE attacks. Yep, boom. Good parry. You know it's fencing. The Hive Tyrant is not going to be able to swing a blue attack if you have a fencing weapon. And yeah, we were able to melt down that Hive Tyrant in a couple minutes. Honestly, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It was literally under 2 minutes. So that is pretty insane. That is pretty insane. The Fencing Thunderhammer is 100% worth trying out. The moveset specifically is what really appealed to me in this run. We do have a fair amount of melee damage. Oh yeah, we were just pushing through on lethal here, it looks like. I mean, 6,000 experience is still pretty high, but I think we had a gene seed or something. Yeah, level 18, yeah, definitely I did not jump into absolute level 18 assault class.